Hey there, welcome in. Go ahead and get comfortable because you found your way to the quietest corner of the internet tonight, and I'm really glad you're here. There's no rush now, no place you need to be, no problem waiting for you on the other side of this. Just you, the sound of my voice, and a slow, gentle drift through the biggest, calmest, most beautifully silent place we know of, our solar system. So before we begin, let your shoulders come down from wherever they've been hiding all day. You know the spot, right up near your ears, holding all that tension you didn't even notice you were carrying. Let them soften. Let your jaw unclench. Let your hands rest wherever they've landed. And if your eyes want to close, honestly, let them. You don't need to see anything tonight. I'll paint all of it for you. Tonight, we're going on the softest kind of journey there is. We're going to float, slowly and quietly, out past the clouds, out past the edge of the sky you know, and into the enormous, patient darkness where the planets drift in their long, slow circles around the sun. Nothing out there is in a hurry. Nothing is stressed. Nothing is late. Everything just turns and orbits and glides the same way it has for billions of years, and the same way it will keep doing long after tonight is a distant, half-remembered dream. And that's the whole idea here. These are the most relaxing, most soothing facts about our solar system, told slowly and gently, with one simple goal in mind: to help you let go of today and slip softly into sleep. This is a little place I've built for exactly that, helping people wind down and rest, one sleepy soul at a time. And tonight, that sleepy soul is you. Now, before we drift too far out into the dark, let me ask you one small, gentle favor, and then I promise I'll let you sink right back into the quiet. If a calm voice and a slow story is the kind of thing that helps you sleep, go ahead and tap that like button and maybe subscribe so you can find your way back here on the next restless night. It's a tiny thing. It costs you nothing, and it helps this little corner of calm reach other tired people who are lying awake right now, staring at the ceiling, wishing their minds would just quiet down. You don't even have to open your eyes to do it. And once it's done, we'll never mention it again. It'll just be you and the stars from here on out. Okay, deal done. Let's go somewhere peaceful. Let's start close to home before we wander off into the deep. Picture, if you will, our own little corner of everything. We live on a small blue world, spinning gently in space, wrapped in a thin, soft blanket of air. And that world is turning right now, carrying you slowly from day into night and back again, at a pace so smooth and so steady that you never feel a thing. You're moving faster than you can imagine, and yet, here in your bed, it feels like the stillest, safest place there is. Isn't that a lovely thought? You are gently spinning through space, tucked in, warm, and perfectly held. And at the center of it all, holding everything together with the quiet patience of something truly ancient, there is the sun, our star, the reason for the light, the seasons, the warmth on your skin on a slow afternoon. The sun is so unimaginably large that if it were hollow, you could pour something like 1,300,000 Earths inside of it and still have room to spare. 1,300,000. Just let that number float by you, soft and enormous, like a cloud passing overhead. You don't need to hold on to it. Just let it drift. And here's something wonderfully calming about the sun. The light that's warming your part of the world right now, or that warmed it earlier today, actually began its journey a long, long time ago. When sunlight leaves the surface of the sun, it takes a little over 8 minutes to cross all that empty space and reach us. So every sunbeam you've ever felt is, in a way, a little message from the past. 8 minutes old by the time it touches your face. A gentle, golden delay, traveling all that way just to say hello. But the truth is even softer and stranger than that. Deep inside the sun, in its glowing, quiet heart, the energy that eventually becomes sunlight can take thousands upon thousands of years to work its way out to the surface. It bounces and drifts and wanders through all that dense, warm material in no hurry at all, taking its time like a slow walk with no destination. So the warmth you feel might have started its journey when the world was very, very young. There's something so peaceful about that. Even light knows how to take it slow. Now let's drift a little further out, away from that warmth, out to the very first planet, the one that huddles closest to the sun. This is Mercury, small, gray, and quiet, covered in soft craters like the surface of a still gray sea that froze mid-ripple. Mercury is a strange and gentle little world because a single day there stretches on and on in a way that almost sounds restful. On Mercury, if you stood in one spot and waited for the sun to rise, set, and rise again, you would be waiting for the length of about 176 Earth days. Imagine that. A single day, unfolding slowly across the space of nearly 6 of our months. No rushing, no alarm clocks. Just a long, patient stretch of time, drifting by. And Mercury moves in the quietest way. It has almost no air to speak of, so there's no wind, no weather, no sound at all. Just silence, a pure, complete, ancient silence that has settled over its plains for billions of years. Picture standing there in that gray stillness, with the tiny distant sun hanging in a black sky, and not a single sound reaching your ears. Not one. Just stillness so deep it feels like a held breath. It's a lonely kind of place, sure, but there's a peace in it too. The peace of somewhere that has never once been disturbed. Let's keep floating outward, slowly, gently, to the next world along. This is Venus, and Venus is a softer sight. From far away, she glows a pale, creamy gold, wrapped in thick, swirling clouds that hide her surface completely. Venus is often the very first point of light you see in the evening sky, that bright, steady glow that appears before the stars do, hanging low near the horizon just after sunset. People have gazed up at that gentle light for thousands and thousands of years, giving it names, telling it their wishes, watching it fade in and out with the seasons. And there's something comforting in knowing that the same soft light your grandparents looked up at, and their grandparents before them, is still there tonight, glowing quietly, patient as ever. Venus turns in the strangest, sleepiest way of all the planets. She spins so incredibly slowly that a single day on Venus actually lasts longer than her entire year. Imagine that for a moment. The world turns so gently, so lazily on its axis, that it finishes a whole trip around the sun before it manages to finish one single slow rotation. If ever there was a planet that liked to take its time, it's this one. And she spins backward, too, gently in the opposite direction to most of the others, so that if you could stand on her surface and part those thick clouds, you would see the sun rise softly in the west and set in the east. Everything turned around, everything slow, everything unhurried. Now, let's come back home for just a moment, back to our own gentle blue world, so we can appreciate how rare and lovely it really is. Because as far as we know, in all that enormous darkness, across all those silent worlds we've drifted past so far, our little Earth is the only one with soft oceans lapping at sandy shores, the only one with green forests breathing in the sunlight, the only one where rain falls and rivers run, and life hums along in a billion quiet ways. It really is a small miracle, this place. A warm, living jewel in the middle of all that cold, calm quiet. And our world has a companion, doesn't it? A gentle friend who has followed us faithfully through the dark for billions of years. The moon. That soft silver light that spills through the curtains on a clear night. The pale glow that has watched over every sleeping creature since the very beginning. The moon is drifting slowly away from us, just a tiny bit each year, about the same speed your fingernails grow, so slowly that neither you nor anyone you'll ever meet will notice it at all. But it means that, long ago, the moon hung larger and closer in the sky, a bigger silver coin against the ancient dark. And far, far in the future, it will be a little smaller, a little further. But for now, for all of our lifetimes, it stays right there, faithful, steady, watching over the night, the way it's watching over yours right now. There's a lovely stillness to the moon too, because it has no air. The footprints left there by the very few people who once walked its dusty gray surface are still there, right now, perfectly preserved. No wind to sweep them away, no rain to wash them out. Just quiet marks in the soft gray dust, sitting exactly as they were left, undisturbed in the endless calm. They'll stay that way for millions of years. There's something so peaceful about that thought. A place so still that nothing ever changes. A place that simply keeps things safe and quiet and whole. Let me take you a little further out now, out past our warm blue world and its silver companion, to the last of the small rocky planets. This is Mars, the soft red one, rusty and gentle, colored like autumn leaves and desert sand, like the warm glow of a fire burning low. Mars is a quiet, dusty world of rolling red plains and slow, ancient valleys. And it has seasons much like ours, and white caps of frost at its poles that grow and shrink as its long, gentle year turns. A day on Mars is almost exactly the same length as a day here on Earth, just a little bit longer. About 37 minutes longer, as if the whole planet decided to give you a few extra minutes to sleep in each morning. Doesn't that sound nice? A world that's a little slower, a little softer, that hands you back a little more rest. And on Mars, the sunsets are the most soothing color. Here on Earth, our sunsets blush pink and orange and gold. But on Mars, because of the fine dust that hangs in the thin air, the sunsets glow a soft, gentle blue. Imagine that. A calm blue sunset, the sky slowly deepening as that small, distant sun sinks toward the red horizon, and everything growing quiet and cool and still. No one is there to watch it. It just happens, evening after evening, this quiet blue farewell to the day, painting itself across an empty sky purely for the peace of it. Mars is also home to the tallest mountain in the whole solar system, a great gentle giant called Olympus Mons. But don't picture something sharp and jagged and frightening. It's nothing like that. It's a wide, soft, sloping shield of a mountain, rising so gradually that if you were standing on it, you might not even realize you were climbing. It's so enormous, and its sides slope so gently that if you stood at the base, the peak would curve away out of sight beyond the horizon. It's the size of a whole country, and yet it rises so patiently, so gently, that it feels less like a mountain and more like the whole world slowly breathing in, rising and rising into that thin, quiet sky. And all of this, everything we've drifted past so far, the warm golden sun, the silent gray plains of Mercury, the slow creamy clouds of Venus, our own blue world and her faithful silver moon, and the soft red hills of Mars, all of it is just the very beginning. The cozy inner rooms of a house that stretches on far, far bigger than you can imagine. We haven't even reached the giants yet, the great swirling worlds of gas and their glowing rings and their whole families of little moons, all waiting for us further out in the dark, drifting slowly, endlessly, peacefully around that distant golden light. But there's no need to hurry toward any of it. We have all the time in the world tonight. That's the whole point of this. There's nowhere we have to be, and nothing we have to reach. We're just going to keep drifting, slowly and softly, letting one gentle fact melt into the next, letting the quiet of all that endless space settle over you like a warm, heavy blanket. So for now, just stay here with me, in this soft in-between place. Feel how still and safe your body is. Feel the weight of you sinking down into wherever you're resting. There is nothing you need to fix tonight, nothing you need to solve. The planets will keep turning without any help from you. The sun will keep shining. The moon will keep watching. And all you have to do, the only job you have left in this whole enormous universe tonight, is to breathe slowly. Let your thoughts grow soft and blurry and drift gently down towards sleep. We've got a long, calm journey ahead of us, out through the quiet and the dark. And I'll be right here, speaking softly, guiding you along the whole way. So settle in a little deeper now. Let the world fall away, and let's keep floating, together, out among the stars. So let's begin drifting outward now, slowly, past the last of those little rocky worlds, and out into the wide open dark where the big ones live. And the first giant we come to, the one that greets us as we leave the warm inner rooms behind, is a world so enormous it almost doesn't feel real. This is Jupiter. And if you want to understand just how big Jupiter is, here's a gentle way to think about it. You could take every single other planet in our whole solar system, every rocky world, every gas giant, every icy little thing spinning out at the edge, gather them all up together into one great pile, and Jupiter would still be bigger than all of them combined. More than twice as heavy as everything else put together. It is, in every sense, the great-grandparent of the planets. The big, slow, patient one that all the others seem to gather around. But for all its size, there's something wonderfully calming about the way Jupiter carries itself. It doesn't rush. It doesn't rage in the way you might imagine something that big would. Instead, it just turns, slowly and steadily, wrapped in these soft, endless bands of cloud. Creamy whites and warm caramels and gentle rusty browns, all layered one on top of the other. all drifting sideways around the planet in long, lazy ribbons. If you could sit far enough away and just watch, you'd see those bands sliding past each other for hours, for days, never quite in a hurry, like cream being stirred so slowly into coffee that it never fully mixes. Around and around, forever. A great swirling painting that has been quietly rearranging itself for billions of years, and will keep on doing so long after tonight is over. And here's the thing about Jupiter that I always find strangely soothing. That famous great red spot you might have seen in pictures. That big, warm, rusty swirl near the middle of the planet. That's a storm. But not the kind of storm that comes and goes in an afternoon like the ones we have here. This one has been turning gently and endlessly for hundreds of years. Maybe far longer. It's a storm so vast that our entire Earth could fit inside it. And yet from far enough away, it looks almost peaceful. Just a soft red eye slowly blinking open and closed across the centuries. Imagine that. Something so old and so patient that our whole idea of a storm, something sudden and frightening, simply doesn't apply. Out there, even the storms move slowly. Even the storms have learned to take their time. Now Jupiter doesn't drift out there all alone. Far from it, it's surrounded by a whole quiet family of moons, dozens and dozens of them, circling around in the dark, like children gathered close around a great sleeping giant. And a few of these moons are so lovely, so gentle in their own way, that they're worth pausing on for just a moment as we float on by. There's one called Europa, a small, smooth, icy world, wrapped all over in a shell of pale, cracked ice. And underneath that ice, deep down in the dark and the quiet, scientists believe there's an entire ocean. A vast, still hidden sea of liquid water, far bigger than all the oceans of Earth put together, sloshing softly in the darkness beneath the frozen surface. No one has ever seen it. No light has ever touched it. It just sits there, a secret ocean in the cold, gently rocking back and forth in the dark, calm and undisturbed for billions of years. And then there's Io, another of Jupiter's moons, though this one is a warmer, more restless little thing, dotted with soft, glowing volcanoes. And Ganymede, which is the biggest moon in the entire solar system, so big it's actually larger than the planet Mercury we drifted past earlier. Just picture that. A moon so grand it could be a planet all on its own, quietly circling its giant parent, keeping it company in the dark. These moons have been going around and around Jupiter for as long as there have been planets at all, tracing the same slow, patient circles, never tiring, never stopping, just turning and turning in the deep, endless night. There's something so restful in that thought, isn't there? That all of this is happening right now, this very second, while you lie here safe and warm and still. Those great creamy bands of cloud are drifting around Jupiter as we speak. That soft red storm is turning. That hidden ocean under Europa's ice is gently rocking in the dark. All of it, moving so slowly and so surely, needing nothing from anyone, asking nothing of anyone. Just carrying on, calm and constant, the way it has for billions of years, and the way it will for billions more. You don't have to do anything about it. You don't have to watch it or worry about it. It simply is, and it will simply keep on being, whether your eyes are open or gently closed. So let your eyes grow a little heavier now, if they haven't already. Let that thought settle over you softly. All those enormous, patient worlds out there in the dark, all turning slowly in the quiet, none of them in any hurry at all. And here you are, tucked into your own small, warm corner of it, allowed to be just as slow, just as unhurried, just as calm. Now let's drift on a little further, because just past Jupiter waits what might be the most beautiful sight in the entire solar system. This is Saturn, and you probably already know what makes Saturn so special. Those rings, those soft, wide, glowing rings, spreading out all around it in gentle, shining circles. But here's something that might surprise you, something wonderfully calming to think about as you lie there. Those rings, for all their grandeur, for all their breadth, are almost impossibly thin. They stretch out for thousands upon thousands of kilometers, wide enough to lay dozens of Earths across them side by side. And yet, up and down, from top to bottom, they're often only about 10 meters thick, sometimes less, thinner in proportion than a sheet of paper. It's as if someone took the finest, most delicate ribbon imaginable and laid it in a great shining circle around the planet, so fine that if you looked at it edge on, it would very nearly disappear. And what are those rings actually made of? Not solid stone, not some great sheet of rock. They're made of countless billions of tiny pieces of ice, little frozen fragments, some as small as a grain of sugar, some as big as a house, all of them tumbling along together in the same slow, graceful circle around the planet, each little piece catching the distant sunlight and glowing softly, all of them drifting in perfect, patient formation, gently bumping and turning and rolling along, around and around and around, for as long as anyone can imagine. Picture that. Billions of little snowballs, each one following the one in front, all of them tracing the same quiet path through the dark. A great river of ice flowing endlessly around a golden world. And it makes no sound at all. It simply glows and turns and drifts in the deepest silence there is. Saturn itself is a soft, pale, buttery kind of world, wrapped in gentle golden clouds, turning slowly beneath its shimmering rings. And like Jupiter, it has its own family of moons keeping it company out there in the cold. One of them, a moon called Titan, is a truly strange and gentle place. It's the only moon in the whole solar system with a real thick atmosphere, a proper hazy orange sky, and down on its surface, it's so cold that there are lakes and rivers and gentle rain, but not of water. On Titan, it's far too cold for that. Instead, the rain that falls there is made of soft liquid methane, drizzling slowly down through that thick orange air, gathering into calm, still lakes that ripple gently under a sky the color of amber. Imagine standing on a quiet shore on Titan, if you somehow could, watching a slow, soft rain fall from a hazy golden sky onto a mirror-still lake. Everything hushed and dim and strange and utterly, utterly peaceful. There's even another little moon of Saturn's, a small bright one called Enceladus, that's covered in clean white ice, so white and so fresh that it's one of the most reflective objects in the whole solar system. It shines out there in the dark like a little pearl, like a smooth white stone you might find on a beach and turn over gently in your hand. And beneath its icy shell, just like Europa, there's thought to be another hidden ocean, quietly venting soft plumes of water vapor up into space. Little gentle geysers rising slowly into the black and freezing into a fine, glittering mist. Everywhere you look out here, There are these quiet hidden waters, these secret still oceans, tucked away beneath the ice, rocking softly in the dark, where no one will ever see them. And I want you to notice something about all of this, something worth holding on to as you sink deeper towards sleep. None of these places are loud. None of them are harsh or frantic or rushed. Out here, everything moves slowly. Everything drifts. The clouds turn in patient bands. The rings glide in endless circles. The rain falls gently on Titan. The geysers rise softly from Enceladus. The hidden oceans rock quietly beneath their shells of ice. It's a whole vast realm built entirely out of slowness and stillness and calm. And you get to belong to that realm too, tonight. You get to move at that same gentle pace. To let your breathing slow to match the slow turning of these enormous worlds. To let go of every fast and frantic thing from your day and sink instead into that deep, cosmic calm. Feel your body growing heavier now, sinking down a little more into wherever you're lying. Feel your shoulders softening, your jaw unclenching, that little space between your eyebrows smoothing out and letting go. There's nothing pulling at you out here. No noise, no rush, no deadlines waiting in the dark. Just these great soft worlds, turning slowly in the silence. And you, drifting gently along beside them, carried on the same quiet current. Let's keep floating outward, past Saturn now and its shining rings, on toward the far, cold, quiet edges of everything, where the light grows dim and the worlds grow strange and the silence grows deeper still. There's no rush to get there. We'll take it slowly, the way everything out here takes it slowly. One soft fact melting into the next, one gentle world drifting past after another, while you sink deeper and deeper toward that warm, welcoming darkness of sleep. I'm still right here with you, still speaking softly, still guiding you gently on. And out here, in the great slow quiet between the stars, there is all the time in the world, and so we drift on, out beyond Saturn and its glimmering rings, out into a part of the solar system where the sunlight grows thin and pale, where our star is no longer that warm golden lamp in the sky, but just one especially bright point among all the others. Out here, the sun is so far away that if you were standing on one of these distant worlds, you could almost cover it with the tip of your thumb held at arm's length. It still shines. It still watches over everything, quietly, faithfully. But its warmth has softened into something gentle and far away, like the last glow of a candle in a room across the house. Just before you close your eyes, the next world we come to is a strange and lovely one called Uranus. And Uranus is the palest, softest blue you can imagine. Not the deep, bright blue of our own ocean, but something calmer, something dreamier. A smooth, hazy, pale blue-green, like sea glass that's been tumbled soft by the waves, like a robin's egg resting in a nest, like the very first hint of dawn on a still morning before the colors have fully arrived. There are no sharp edges to Uranus, no dramatic stripes or storms shouting for your attention. It's just this quiet, featureless, gently glowing sphere, wrapped in a haze of pale methane cloud that gives it that soft, tranquil watercolor tint. If you were floating out there beside it in the dark, it would look like a great smooth pearl of the palest blue, turning slowly, silently, endlessly in the deep. And here's something wonderfully strange and peaceful about Uranus, something that sets it apart from all its brothers and sisters. while the other planets spin more or less upright, like tops twirling neatly on a table. Uranus lies almost entirely on its side. It rolls around the sun tipped right over, as though it simply decided long ago to lie down and rest. Imagine that. A whole enormous world, 4 times wider than our Earth, just gently lying on its side and rolling slowly through space, taking its time, in no hurry to sit up straight. And because it lies over like that, its seasons are the longest and slowest of any planet. A single season on Uranus lasts more than 20 of our years. 20 years of one long, slow summer. 20 years of one quiet, drifting winter. Out here, time moves so gently that a season can last longer than a lifetime feels back home. There's something deeply restful in that thought. The idea of a place where nothing needs to change quickly, where a single soft season stretches on and on and on. Uranus has its own little family of moons too, quietly circling in the dark. And they're named not after gods and titans like most of the other moons, but after characters from old plays and poems. Gentle names like Miranda and Ariel and Titania and Oberon. Little icy worlds drifting in slow circles around their tipped-over planet, each one carrying the name of some dreamed-up soul from a story written centuries ago. Picture them turning out there right now, these small frozen moons with their poetic names, gliding silently through the pale blue glow of their sleeping giant, keeping it quiet company in the endless dark. And when we drift onward from Uranus, we come at last to the final great planet of our solar system, the most distant of the giants, a deep and beautiful world called Neptune. If Uranus is the palest blue, then Neptune is the richest, deepest blue of all, a gorgeous, velvety, sapphire blue, like the ocean far from shore where the water turns dark and deep, like the last blue moment of twilight just before it slips into night. Neptune glows out there in the far reaches of the dark, this deep blue jewel, so far from the sun that it takes 165 of our years just to travel once around it. Think about that for a moment. Since the day Neptune was first discovered all those years ago, it has only just completed a single one of its long, slow orbits. 1 year on Neptune is longer than any human life. A baby born the day it was found would have lived a whole lifetime, and Neptune would only just be arriving back where it started, having circled the sun exactly once, slowly, patiently, in no hurry at all. Now, Neptune does have winds. In fact, they're the fastest winds anywhere in the solar system. But I don't want you to picture anything frightening. Way out there, so far from us, those winds just blow the soft white clouds around and around that deep blue world in long, streaming, silent ribbons. There's no one to feel them, no one to hear them. They just drift and stream across that sapphire sky, high white wisps sailing over the deep blue below, painting slow patterns that shift and fade and form again over days and weeks and months. It's a quiet kind of beauty, a lonely kind of beauty, playing out in the dark at the very edge of everything, whether anyone is watching or not. And Neptune has a moon I'd love to tell you about, a big one called Triton. And Triton is a curious, gentle soul. It orbits its planet backwards, going the opposite way around compared to almost every other large moon in the solar system, drifting the wrong way round in slow, calm, contented circles. And Triton is astonishingly cold, one of the coldest places we've ever found anywhere. So cold that it's covered in a delicate frost of frozen nitrogen, a pale pink and white shell of ice that makes it glow softly in the dim, distant light. And even out there, in all that terrible cold, Triton has soft little geysers that gently puff dark plumes up into the thin sky, slow and quiet, like the world itself is breathing, slowly, in the cold and the dark. Now let's drift on past Neptune, past the last of the great planets, out into a vast and gentle region called the Kuiper Belt. And I know that sounds like a grand and important name, but really, it's just a wide, quiet ring of small icy worlds and frozen leftovers, scattered thinly across an enormous stretch of space far beyond the planets. Picture a huge, calm, sparsely dotted ring, wrapping all the way around the outer edge of everything we've visited so far, filled with countless small, cold worlds, turning slowly in the dark, so far apart from one another that each one drifts along in perfect solitude, never crowded, never rushed, with all the empty space in the world to call its own. And it's out here, in the quiet of the Kuiper Belt, that we find dear little Pluto. Now, you might have heard that Pluto isn't called a proper planet anymore, that some years back the astronomers gently decided it was really a dwarf planet, one of the larger residents of this distant icy ring. But honestly, none of that matters to Pluto, and none of it should matter to us tonight. Whatever we choose to call it, Pluto is a real and wonderful little world, and it turned out to be far more beautiful than anyone ever expected. When we finally sent a small spacecraft all that way out to visit it, after a journey of 9 long years across billions of kilometers of empty dark, it sent back photographs that took everyone's breath away, because there on Pluto, plain as anything, was a great big soft heart shape, a huge pale region of smooth frozen ice, spread right across its surface like a valentine sent out into the cosmos. A whole distant world with a gentle heart on its face, waiting patiently in the dark all this time for someone to finally come along and see it. And that heart of Pluto's is a truly peaceful place. It's made of soft nitrogen ice, and it's so smooth and so fresh that there's not a single crater on it, not one mark or blemish, because the ice very slowly churns and renews itself over the ages, endlessly smoothing itself over, keeping itself soft and clean and new. It's one of the smoothest, most untouched surfaces anywhere out there. A great pale plain of gentle ice, glowing faintly in the far, faint light of the distant sun, perfectly quiet, perfectly still, perfectly at peace. And Pluto has its own companion too, a moon called Charon. And these two are bound together in the sweetest way. Charon is quite large compared to Pluto, and the two of them are locked so closely together that they always show each other the very same face, forever. Pluto turns, and Charon turns, in perfect step, each one always looking at the other, never turning away, drifting together through the cold and the dark, like two old friends holding hands, circling each other slowly at the edge of the solar system, keeping one another company across all that vast and lonely distance. They've been doing this quiet dance for billions of years, and they'll keep on doing it for billions more, long after this night is over, long after you've drifted off to sleep and woken again to a new day. Just two gentle, faithful worlds, turning together in the dark, never letting go. Let that thought settle over you softly as we float here at the far edge of everything. Out beyond Pluto, beyond the Kuiper Belt, the space grows emptier still and quieter still, and the sun becomes just one more little star among the countless others scattered across the black. But even all the way out here, everything is calm. Everything is slow. There are no storms that can reach you, no noise that can find you, no rushing and no hurry of any kind. There's only the deep, soft, endless quiet, and these gentle frozen worlds turning patiently through it, and you, drifting along among them, wrapped in the same great stillness that holds all of these distant places in its arms. Feel how far you've come tonight, how far we've floated together, from the warm golden light of the sun all the way out to these cold and gentle edges. And notice that nothing about the journey has been hard. We simply drifted, one soft world at a time, one quiet fact melting into the next, letting the distance carry us along. That's all you need to do now too. Just keep drifting. Just keep floating, gently, easily, out here in the dark, where there's nothing left to do and nowhere left to be, and all the time in the world to simply rest. Beyond all of this, wrapped around the whole solar system like a vast and gentle shell, there's thought to be one more thing, and it's perhaps the softest, dreamiest place of all. It's called the Oort cloud, and it's an enormous, faint, spherical cloud of icy comets, so far away and so spread out that it surrounds everything else we've ever spoken of tonight, holding it all inside, like a great soft bubble drifting in the dark. The comets out there move so slowly, and they're so unimaginably far from the sun, that a single one of them might take millions of years to drift once around and come back again. Millions of years for one slow, quiet loop through the deepest dark there is. And every now and then, ever so gently, one of these icy travelers begins the longest, calmest journey imaginable, drifting slowly inward across all that emptiness, taking its unhurried time, in no rush whatsoever, sailing softly toward the distant light of home. And when a comet like that finally comes drifting close enough for us to see it, it doesn't arrive with any kind of fuss. It just appears softly, way up in the night sky, a pale smudge of light trailing the gentlest tail behind it, like a little brushstroke someone painted across the dark. People have looked up and seen these quiet visitors for thousands and thousands of years, long before anyone knew what they were or where they came from. And here's the lovely thing about them. That faint glowing tail you see isn't the comet burning up or breaking apart. It's just a whisper of ice, warming ever so slightly as it nears the sun, turning softly into a mist that streams out behind it, catching the light. So really, a comet's tail is just a little cloud of melting frost, drifting along beside it, glowing gently in the dark. Nothing violent, nothing frightening, just ice and light, and the slow, patient sailing of something very old and very far from home. And when that comet finally rounds the sun and begins the long, long journey back out to where it came from, it doesn't hurry then either. It just turns gently and starts the slow drift back into the deep, back toward that great soft cloud at the edge of everything, where it will loop around once more and come back to visit us again in another few million years. Imagine that. Something out there, right now, quietly on its way to us, taking its time, in no rush at all, carrying with it a little piece of the very beginning of the solar system, frozen and untouched all this time. Because that's the other tender thing about these comets. They're old, They're some of the oldest, most unchanged things there are, made from the same soft, icy stuff that everything else was made from, back when the sun and the planets were all just starting to come together, billions and billions of years ago. So when one of them drifts by, it's a little like getting a quiet visit from the distant past, a gentle traveler carrying an old, old memory, just passing through on its slow way home. Let yourself rest in that thought for a moment. All that time, all that patience. Everything out here moves so slowly, so gently, that a single journey can take longer than there have been people on the earth. And still nothing feels rushed, and still nothing feels late. The whole solar system just keeps turning at its own soft pace, doing what it's always done, in no hurry whatsoever. And there's a real comfort in that, isn't there? The idea that some things are simply too big and too calm to ever be hurried. That out here, in the dark and the quiet, there's all the time in the world, and then some. You can borrow a little of that feeling tonight. You don't have to hurry towards sleep. You don't have to chase it, or work at it, or worry about it. You can just let it drift toward you, slowly, gently, the way a comet drifts home, taking all the time it needs, arriving softly when it's good and ready. Now let's turn back inward for a while, drifting slowly the way that little comet drifts, back toward the warmer, brighter middle of everything. And as we float there, let's think for a moment about all the smaller, quieter pieces of the solar system, the ones we so often forget about. Because between the planets, tucked into the great dark spaces, there are countless little worlds we hardly ever mention. Out beyond Mars, in that wide gap before you reach Jupiter, there's a soft scattering of them called the asteroid belt. Now, you might picture that as a crowded, tumbling place, all those rocks packed tightly together. But honestly, it's nothing like that at all. The asteroid belt is one of the emptiest, loneliest, most peaceful places you could imagine. The pieces that float there are spread so far apart that if you were standing on one of them, you might not be able to see another single one anywhere in the sky. Just you and your quiet little rock, and the deep, soft dark stretching away in every direction, and the far-off sun, small and gentle, keeping its distant watch. You could drift there for a lifetime and never bump into a thing. That's how much room there is out there. That's how gentle and spacious it all really is. And some of these little worlds are so small and so soft-edged that they're really more like floating gardens of rubble, loose piles of stone and dust held together ever so lightly, turning slowly end over end as they make their long, slow way around the sun. They've been doing that for billions of years, these little wanderers, just turning and drifting, never in any hurry to be anywhere. Some of them have the sweetest names, given to them by the people who first spotted them through their telescopes on quiet nights long ago. And some of them are so small, they don't have names at all, just quiet numbers, drifting along unnamed and unbothered, perfectly content in the dark. There's something rather peaceful about that too. The idea that not everything needs to be noticed to be at peace, that a little world can drift along for billions of years, unnamed and unseen by anyone, and still be exactly where it belongs, doing exactly what it's meant to do, turning slowly through the quiet. And then there are the moons. We've spoken of a few of them tonight already, but the truth is, the solar system is absolutely full of them. Dozens upon dozens of gentle little worlds, each one circling its planet in its own slow, faithful way. Some of them are tiny, no bigger than a mountain, little lumpy things drifting along beside their planets, like pebbles rolling gently downhill. And some of them are enormous, bigger even than the smallest planets, great round worlds in their own right, with their own quiet landscapes and their own soft skies. Out around Jupiter, there's a moon called Europa, wrapped in a smooth shell of ice. And beneath that ice, scientists think there may be a vast, dark, gentle ocean, deeper than any ocean here on Earth, hidden away in the cold and the quiet, never once touched by the light of day. Just imagine that. A whole hidden sea, sealed softly beneath the ice, drifting silently through space, keeping its ancient secret in the dark. Nothing stirring it but the slow, gentle pull of the planet it circles. A calm, black sleeping ocean, way out there in the cold, quietly waiting, quietly turning, for as long as anyone can imagine. And out around Saturn, there's a moon called Titan, and Titan is one of the strangest, softest places of all. It's wrapped in a thick, hazy, golden fog. So thick, you can't even see the surface from above. Just a warm, soft, orange glow, like a lamp left on behind a curtain. And down beneath that fog, on the surface itself, there are lakes and rivers and gentle rains. Only they're not made of water. They're made of something else. Something so cold, it flows like water would in a warmer place, filling up soft, still lakes that lie there under that golden sky. Perfectly calm, perfectly quiet, rippling ever so slightly now and then in a slow, cold breeze. It's a whole world with weather, with rain and rivers and shorelines, all of it drifting along in the gentle dark, hundreds of millions of kilometers away, doing its own quiet thing whether anyone is watching or not. And most of the time, no one is. It just carries on, softly, patiently, wrapped in its warm golden haze, raining its slow cold rain into its still and silent lakes. Isn't it a lovely thing to think about? All these little worlds, all these quiet moons, each one turning gently in its own corner of the dark, each one carrying on with its own slow, peaceful existence. And none of them need anything from us. None of them are waiting on us, or worrying about us, or asking anything of us at all. They're simply there, drifting, turning, being exactly what they are, and they've been doing it for longer than we can really hold in our minds. And they'll keep on doing it, long after tonight is gone. There's such a deep comfort in that. The world can carry on being calm and slow and beautiful all on its own, without you having to do a single thing about it. You don't have to hold anything up tonight. You don't have to keep anything turning. You can set it all down, softly, and let the great gentle machinery of the sky keep drifting along without you, the way it always has, the way it always will. So let's just float here a while longer, out among these soft little moons and quiet drifting rocks, letting the dark hold us the way it holds all of them. Feel how easy it is to be here. There's nothing to figure out, nothing to solve, nothing pulling at you or asking for your attention, just the slow turning of distant worlds and the deep, soft quiet between them, and your own breath, moving gently in and out, slower now, softer now, falling into the same unhurried rhythm as everything around you, in and out, slow and soft, like the tide on Titan's cold, still lakes, like the endless, patient turning of a little world that has all the time it could ever need. You have that time too, tonight. There's nowhere to be, There's nothing to do. There's only this, only the quiet, only the drift. And before we go on drifting deeper into the dark, I'd love it if you'd do one small, gentle thing for me whenever you happen to find yourself awake and reading this. And no rush, only if it feels nice. Down below, in the comments, tell me which of these faraway places felt the coziest to you tonight. Maybe it was that hidden ocean sleeping under the ice on Europa, or Titan wrapped up warm in its golden fog, or those two little worlds far out past Pluto, turning together in the dark and never letting go. Or maybe it was some quiet little moment I mentioned in passing that just settled softly in your mind. Whatever it was, I'd love to hear about it. And if there's a corner of the sky you'd like me to drift toward on some future night, some planet or moon or gentle mystery you'd love to fall asleep to, leave that for me too. I read them slowly on quiet evenings like this one, and there's something rather lovely about knowing we're all out here together, drifting off under the very same stars. So whenever you're ready, leave your little note in the dark and then let it go. And let your eyes fall closed again, and come drift on with me softly into whatever calm and quiet places are waiting for us next. Let's drift on then, gently, into the quiet. And let me tell you about a few more of these soft little places. The small and gentle things that fill up all that space between the big worlds we've already visited. You know, when you picture the solar system in your mind, you probably imagine everything sort of close together, all the planets lined up neatly, sitting near each other in the dark. But the truth is far softer and far more spacious than that. Between one world and the next, there's an enormous amount of gentle, empty room. If you shrank the sun down to the size of a beach ball, our little Earth would be a tiny bead, no bigger than a peppercorn, drifting along about 26 meters away. And Neptune, way out at the far edge, would be another little bead nearly a whole kilometer off in the distance. Just imagine all that soft, dark, open space in between, mostly quiet, mostly empty, holding these little worlds far apart from one another, each one drifting along in its own wide, peaceful orbit, never crowded, never rushed, with all the room in the world to simply be. And into all that gentle emptiness, sunlight travels, slowly and patiently. Light is the fastest thing there is, and yet even it takes its time out here. From the sun to your face, warming a summer afternoon, that light spends about 8 minutes crossing the dark. So the sunshine you feel is always a little bit old, a soft memory of light that left the sun 8 minutes before it ever reached you. And to travel all the way out to Neptune, that same light needs more than 4 hours. Just think of that, a single beam of sunlight, drifting out through the quiet, taking half an afternoon just to reach that far blue world. There's no hurry to any of it. Everything out here moves at its own slow, unbothered pace, and the light most of all, just gliding along through the great soft dark, in no rush at all to arrive. Now, let me take you back inward for a little while, to a soft and dusty ring that circles the sun somewhere between Mars and Jupiter. This is the asteroid belt, and it's not at all the crowded, tumbling place you might have seen in films. All those rocks knocking and crashing into one another. No, the real asteroid belt is a far calmer thing. It's so wide and so spread out that if you were standing on one of its little rocky worlds, you'd most likely see nothing else around you at all. Just the deep, quiet dark and the distant, tiny sun. The pieces are so far apart from one another that a spacecraft can drift straight through the whole belt and never come close to a single one. It's a gentle, lonely, spacious place, scattered with little stones and boulders and the occasional larger world, all of them turning softly, keeping to themselves, drifting along their slow, wide circles with acres and acres of empty room between each one. And the biggest of them all, the little round queen of that dusty belt, is a small world called Ceres. Ceres is gentle and gray and round, and it's small enough that it feels almost cozy. A whole little world you could very nearly imagine wrapping your arms around. And here's the loveliest part. Deep beneath its surface, Ceres is thought to hold water, a soft layer of ice, and maybe even a little slush of briny liquid down in the dark. There are pale, bright spots on its surface too, gleaming softly where salts have been left behind, glinting like little patches of frost on a winter morning. It's a quiet, patient place. Ceres, just turning there in the middle of the belt, keeping its secret water tucked away beneath its dusty skin, drifting round and round the distant sun, as it has done for billions and billions of years. Let that settle over you for a moment. The thought of that little gray world so far away, turning gently in the dark with its hidden ice, asking nothing of anyone, simply being exactly what it is. Now, I mentioned the great planet Jupiter to you a little while ago. That huge, slow, striped world with its warm, swirling clouds. But Jupiter doesn't drift out there alone. It's surrounded by a whole family of moons, and some of them are so lovely and so strange that I'd love to tell you about them, softly, while you rest. There's one called Europa, a smooth, pale, icy world, wrapped all over in a shell of frozen white, cracked here and there with soft reddish lines like the veins in a marble. And beneath that ice, all the way down in the dark, there's an ocean, a real ocean, warm and deep and salty, holding more water than all the seas of our own Earth put together. Just imagine it. A whole hidden sea, sealed away beneath the frozen surface, dark and quiet and still, sloshing very gently against the underside of the ice, out there in the cold, far from any sunlight at all. Nobody has ever seen it, and perhaps nobody ever will, but it's there, we're fairly sure of it. A great secret ocean rolling slowly in the dark on a little moon so very far away. And then there's Io, another of Jupiter's moons. And Io is a curious, colorful little thing, all yellows and oranges and soft browns, like a world dusted over with the spices from a kitchen shelf. It's the most volcanic place in the whole solar system, with gentle fountains of soft material rising and falling across its surface. But it all happens so slowly and so silently, out there in the airless dark, that even that feels calm. Just soft plumes drifting up and settling back down again, painting and repainting that little world in warm, quiet colors, over and over, endlessly. There's Ganymede too, the very biggest moon in all the solar system, so large it's actually bigger than the planet Mercury. Imagine that, a moon grander than a whole planet, and yet it drifts there so quietly around Jupiter, keeping its place, turning slowly, never once forgetting the way home. And Ganymede has something rather special, a soft magnetic field all of its own, the only moon we know of that does, wrapping itself in a gentle invisible blanket as it circles round and round. And I can't leave Jupiter without whispering to you about Callisto, the most quiet and patient of them all. Callisto is a dark, old, gentle world, its face marked all over with soft, ancient craters, so many of them, layered one upon another across unimaginable stretches of time. It's one of the oldest, most unchanged surfaces anywhere out there. A face that has stayed almost exactly the same for billions of years, just turning slowly at the outer edge of Jupiter's family, calm and steady and utterly undisturbed, keeping its distance, keeping its peace. Doesn't it soothe you somehow to think of them all out there right now, this very moment? Europa and Io and Ganymede and Callisto, drifting in their long, slow circles around that great striped world, exactly as they have for longer than we can really imagine, and exactly as they will long after tonight has faded into morning. They don't need us to watch them. They don't need us to know they're there. They simply carry on, turning gently in the dark. Four little worlds keeping their giant company, wheeling around and around in the deep and peaceful quiet. And Saturn, too, that beautiful ringed world we visited earlier, has moons of its own that are worth resting your thoughts on for a moment. There's one called Enceladus, and Enceladus is perhaps the most gleaming, brightest white thing in the entire solar system. It's covered in fresh, clean ice, so bright and so pure that it reflects nearly all the sunlight that touches it, shining out there like a little snowball, like a pearl, like a soft round drop of frozen light. And down near its southern end, this little moon does the gentlest, most delicate thing. It breathes out soft plumes of icy mist, fine sprays of frozen water drifting up from cracks in its surface, rising slowly into space and then settling back down again, like the lightest possible snowfall. Some of that soft, icy mist even drifts all the way out and helps to feed one of Saturn's faint outer rings, adding its own tiny, gentle contribution to that great shimmering circle. Just picture it, that little white moon, softly puffing out its quiet breath of snow into the dark, endlessly, patiently, feeding the rings of the world it circles. And underneath all that bright ice on Enceladus, just like on Europa, there's thought to be another hidden ocean, warm and dark and salty. Another secret sea rolling gently far from any light. How many quiet oceans there must be out there, tucked away beneath all that ice, on all these little frozen moons, each one dark and calm and undisturbed, each one holding its own slow tides in the deep. It's a lovely thing to drift off thinking about, all those hidden seas, all that quiet water, sleeping away the ages beneath the frost. Let your breath go soft again now, in and out, slow and easy, as we float here among all these gentle moons. In and out. There's nothing you need to hold on to. Just let each thought drift by like one of these little worlds passing slowly through the dark, and let it go again, softly, and reach for nothing at all. You know, one of the most peaceful things about all of this, about all these distant worlds and all this open space, is just how gentle everything is out there. Down here on Earth, we're used to weight, to effort, to the pull of the ground beneath us. But out on many of these little moons and small worlds, gravity is the faintest, softest thing. On a small asteroid, you could give the gentlest little push with your toes and drift slowly upward, floating for the longest time before you ever came back down. A single quiet step could carry you further than a running leap ever could here at home. Everything up there is lighter, softer, slower. A ball tossed gently would take an age to fall. A grain of dust nudged from the surface would rise up and drift away in no particular hurry, taking its own sweet time about everything. It's a world of slow, weightless, dreamlike motion, where nothing ever falls fast and nothing ever hits hard, where even the act of moving feels like floating, like drifting, like the slow, soft tumble of a feather settling through still air. And that's rather how you're feeling now, isn't it? Lying there, growing lighter and softer, sinking down gently into wherever you're resting, as though a little of that faraway weightlessness has drifted all the way here to you, easing the pull on your arms, your legs, your shoulders, letting you settle, letting you float, letting you go loose and heavy and calm all at once. Between all these worlds, in the great open spaces I told you about, there's another soft thing to know, and it's this. Space out there is not entirely empty. Scattered all through the inner solar system, there's the finest possible haze of tiny dust, gentle little grains left behind by passing comets and drifting stones. So fine and so faint, you'd never notice a single one. But every now and then, on the darkest and clearest of nights here on Earth, that far-off dust catches the light of the sun and glows ever so softly, a pale, ghostly cone of light rising up from the horizon just after sunset or just before dawn. People who've seen it call it the false dawn, a soft, luminous glow that isn't the morning at all, just the gentlest sunlight scattering off all those tiny drifting motes of dust, spread out across the whole quiet plane of the solar system. Isn't that a lovely thought? That even the empty spaces have their own faint glow, their own soft shimmer, if only the night is dark enough and still enough to let you see it. So here we are, floating together in all this gentle dark, among the little moons and the hidden oceans and the drifting dust and the soft, slow light. And there's still so much more to drift past, so many more quiet corners of the sky to visit. But there's no need to reach for any of it yet. Just stay here a while longer, weightless and warm and easy, and let the great slow wheel of everything keep turning gently around you, in no hurry at all, just as it always has, just as it always will. You know, since we're drifting out here so gently, let me tell you about something that's always felt wonderfully peaceful to me. And it's the way time itself seems to stretch and soften the further out you go. Here at home, a day is a day, just the one turn of the earth, that familiar round of morning and afternoon and evening that you know so well. But out on some of these other worlds, a single day can be the strangest, sleepiest thing. On little Mercury, which we drifted past long ago, one full day, from one sunrise all the way round to the next, lasts longer than its entire year. Just imagine that for a moment. You could watch the sun rise, and by the time it climbed up and crossed the sky and set again, more than a whole year would have quietly slipped away. Time moves so differently out there, so slowly, so gently, that our own busy hours and minutes down here start to feel very small and very far away. And that's rather a lovely thing to let go of, isn't it? The ticking and the counting, the rushing from one moment to the next. Out here, there's no clock at all. There's just the slow turning of great quiet worlds, taking exactly as long as they take, and never once wondering if they're late. And speaking of slowness, let me tell you about the gentlest, most patient travelers of all, the ones that make even the planets look like they're in a hurry, far out beyond everything we visited, out in the deep, cold dark. There are countless little icy bodies drifting along in orbits so vast, so wide, so unimaginably long, that a single trip around the sun can take them thousands of years, and some of them tens of thousands, and a rare few of them so long that they've only completed a handful of laps since the very beginning of the solar system. Picture one of those little icy wanderers right now, out there in the black, so far from the warmth of the sun that it's little more than a faint dim star to them, catching the tiniest bit of light on its frozen shoulders as it drifts along, in no hurry, in no rush, following the same great slow circle it's been tracing since long before there was anyone here to watch it. It doesn't know we exist. It doesn't need to. It just goes on, quietly, faithfully, the way it always has. And there's something deeply restful in that, in knowing that all this gentle motion is happening out there whether we watch it or not, keeping on softly through the night while you lie here, warm and safe and still. Now, let your body sink a little deeper for me, wherever you're resting. Feel the weight of your head against your pillow, the soft heaviness in your arms, the way your legs have gone loose and easy. There's nothing to hold on to, nothing to keep track of, nothing at all to do but breathe, slow and gentle, in and out, and drift along with me a little further. Here's a soft thought for you. You've probably heard that space is cold, and out in the great open dark, far from any star, it truly is, colder than anything we ever feel down here. But the strange and lovely thing is that all that cold is also perfectly, profoundly quiet, because sound, you see, needs something to travel through, some air or water to carry it along, ripple by ripple, to your ear. And out there, in the great empty spaces between the worlds, there's almost nothing at all to carry a sound. So it's not just quiet out there, it's the deepest, purest silence there could possibly be. A silence so complete that even the biggest, most enormous things happening out in space, great swirling storms and slow tumbling moons and comets, streaming their long bright tails, all of it happens without the faintest whisper. Just imagine all that vast, gentle motion, all of it unfolding in perfect stillness, like a great silent film playing softly across the whole sky. No noise, no clatter, no rush, just the quietest quiet there has ever been, spread out across everything. And maybe, lying here now, you can borrow just a little of that great softness and let your own world go quiet too. Let the sounds of the day fade away behind you, one by one, until there's nothing left but your own slow breathing and the gentle dark. Let me tell you about the colors too, because that's another thing that surprises people. How soft and how varied all these worlds really are. We think of space as black and white somehow, all gray rock and cold starlight. But it isn't like that at all. There are worlds out there the color of warm butter, and worlds the pale blue of a robin's egg, and worlds a deep, dreaming sapphire, and little moons streaked with soft yellows and gentle browns, and great rings that shimmer silver and pearl. There's one little moon, way out by Saturn, that's a soft two-tone thing. One half of it bright as fresh snow, and the other half dark as coffee, drifting along quietly with its two faces turned to the dark. And there's another that's the most delicate pale gold, wrapped in that hazy fog I told you about earlier. All these gentle colors, drifting out there in the dark, painted across the worlds, so slowly and so patiently over billions of years. It's like the softest, quietest painting you could ever imagine. And it just hangs there in the black, asking nothing of anyone, simply being beautiful all on its own, whether anyone happens to be looking or not. And doesn't that ease something in you? To think of all that quiet beauty out there, going on and on, needing no audience, no applause, no reason to be lovely other than the simple fact that it is. You don't need a reason either. Lying here tonight, you don't have to earn this rest or explain it or do anything at all to deserve it. You can simply lie here and be the way all those distant worlds simply are, turning gently in the dark, at peace with everything, in need of nothing. Now here's something that's always struck me as one of the softest ideas of all. When you look up at the night sky and you see the stars scattered across it, so still and so fixed, so unchanging night after night, it feels as though everything up there is standing perfectly still. But it isn't, not really. Everything is moving, all the time, slowly and smoothly and silently. Our whole sun, and all the planets circling it, and all their little moons, and all the drifting dust and distant comets, the entire family of us. We're all sailing together through the greater dark, wheeling slowly around the heart of a much bigger place, taking a journey so vast and so long that a single trip takes hundreds of millions of years to complete. We've never even been all the way around once. Not in the whole time there have been people here. Not in the whole time there have been creatures of any kind walking the earth. And yet we're moving, right now, this very moment. All of us together, gliding smoothly through the dark on the longest, gentlest journey there is. You're moving right now. As you lie there, you're sailing through space on this warm little world, and you can't feel a thing, because it's all so smooth and so steady and so calm. Isn't that a soothing thought, to be carried along like that, held safe and gentle, moving without effort, going somewhere slow and beautiful, without having to do a single thing? Let that carry you now. That feeling of being gently moved, gently held, gently taken along. You don't have to steer. You don't have to paddle. You don't have to know the way. You're already being carried softly through the great quiet dark, the same way you were carried all through today, without ever really noticing. The same way you'll be carried on through the night and into the soft light of morning. All you have to do is rest. Here's another gentle one for you. On our own earth, we have just the one moon, that single silver companion we spoke of earlier. And it feels so natural to us, doesn't it? That one soft light in the sky. But some of the other worlds out there have whole crowds of moons, dozens and dozens of them, little ones and large ones, some no bigger than a mountain, drifting along in great slow flocks. Just imagine standing on one of those worlds and looking up at a night sky with a dozen moons in it, some of them full and bright, some of them slender little crescents, all of them at different heights and different phases, drifting slowly past one another in the quiet dark. What a soft and dreamy sky that would be, full of gentle lights, each one moving at its own slow pace, never colliding, never crowding, just gliding peacefully along their separate paths, keeping each other the quietest kind of company across the endless nights. And they've been doing that for so long, those little flocks of moons, turning and drifting around their great parent worlds since long before anyone was here to give them names. And they'll keep on doing it long, long after, in that same unhurried, faithful way. You know, the more time you spend thinking about all of this, the more you notice how patient everything out there is. Nothing rushes, nothing hurries. The great slow storms take centuries to swirl. The ice on the little moons renews itself over ages upon ages. The comets take thousands of years just to complete a single loop. The whole solar system turns and drifts and glides with a patience so deep and so gentle that our own brief, busy lives can hardly imagine it. And there's a real comfort in that, I think, in knowing that most of everything, nearly all of everything, moves slowly. That the loud, fast-rushing feeling of a difficult day is really the exception, not the rule. That out there, and even down here beneath all our hurry, the truer rhythm of things is slow and soft and endlessly patient. You can let yourself sink into that rhythm now, the slow one, the true one. Let your breathing slow to match it. Let your thoughts slow to match it. There's no need to keep pace with anything faster tonight. Let me tell you one more soft thing before we drift onward, and it's about light again, because light is such a gentle traveler. When you feel the warmth of sunlight on your face, that warmth left the sun only a few minutes before it touched you, sailing across all that empty space to reach your skin. But the light from the stars, the little points you see scattered across the night, that light has been traveling for years and years, and for some of them, thousands of years, and for a rare few, longer still, crossing the enormous dark all that time, just to arrive at your eye on this one particular quiet night. So when you look up at the stars, you're not really seeing them as they are now. You're seeing the soft old light they sent out long ago, a gentle message from the deep past, arriving gently in the present, just for you. Every star you've ever wished on was really a little piece of ancient light, patient and slow, finally reaching the end of its long, long journey in the moment you happen to look up. Isn't that a tender thing to think about? All that old light drifting down through the dark, arriving softly, asking nothing, simply glowing for a while before it fades. And here you are at the end of your own long day, at the end of all those hours and all those small journeys, arriving softly at last in this quiet place of rest. You've traveled far enough today. You've carried enough. Now you can set it all down, the way the light finally arrives and rests, the way the comet finally loops home, the way the great slow worlds finally turn their tired faces back toward the dark. There's nothing left to do now but drift and breathe and let the gentle dark hold you, while all those far-off worlds keep turning quietly on, in no hurry at all, keeping their patient watch over the night and over you. Let me tell you about something soft and strange that happens up on the moon, something to do with the way it moves. You'd think, wouldn't you, that the moon simply hangs there in the sky, showing us the same gentle face night after night. And in a way it does, but it also rocks ever so slightly, back and forth and side to side, in the slowest, gentlest little sway you could imagine. It's called libration, and it happens because the moon's path around us isn't a perfect circle, but a soft, lazy oval, so it speeds up a touch and slows down a touch as it goes, tilting its face this way and that. And because of that tiny, patient rocking, over time we actually get to peek around its edges just a little and see nearly 60% of its whole surface from down here. even though it only ever really shows us the one side. Just picture that, the moon up there swaying so slowly and so gently, like a cradle rocking in the dark, like something being soothed to sleep, turning its soft gray face just barely this way and that across the long, quiet nights. And here's another tender thing about our moon, one that hardly anyone stops to think about. It's drifting away from us. Very, very slowly, about the width of your fingernail every year, the moon is easing itself a little farther out into space, loosening its hold on us by the gentlest fraction with each turn around. So long, long ago, when the world was young, the moon hung much closer and much larger in the sky. A great silver lantern, far bigger than the one we know, and far, far into the future, it will drift a little farther still, growing a little smaller and a little softer to our eyes. But don't let that make you sad tonight, because this happens so slowly, so unbelievably slowly, that across a whole human life, the moon barely moves at all. It'll be right there tomorrow night, and the night after, and for more nights than you or I or anyone will ever count. That same faithful companion, keeping its slow and patient watch over us, drifting outward by the width of a fingernail, in no hurry to leave it all. Let me take you back out among the giants now, out to that great striped world of Jupiter, because there's something about it I haven't told you yet, and it's wonderfully soothing to think about. Jupiter is so enormous, so vast, and so heavy that it spins faster than any other planet in the whole solar system. And yet, from far away, that spinning looks utterly calm. A single day on Jupiter, one full turn around, takes less than 10 hours. Just imagine that, a whole day and night sliding by in less time than you might spend asleep tonight. And because it's turning so quickly while being so huge, Jupiter isn't perfectly round at all. It bulges out a little around its middle, squashed ever so gently at the top and bottom, like a soft ball of dough that's been pressed down just slightly by a patient hand. Out there right now, in the great dark, that vast striped world is turning through its short and endless days. Its creamy bands of cloud sliding past one another in slow, silent ribbons of gold and white and soft, rusty brown. And Saturn, that pale and lovely ringed world, has a secret of its own that I find one of the gentlest facts in all the sky. Saturn is so light, so airy for its size, that if you could somehow find an ocean big enough to hold it, Saturn would float. It would bob there on the surface like a great pale cork, like a soft round buoy resting on the water, because it's made mostly of light and gassy things, so puffed up and so delicate that the whole enormous planet weighs less, for its size, than the water in your bath. Isn't that a lovely, impossible picture to hold in your mind as you drift? That enormous golden world with its shimmering rings, floating gently on some vast imaginary sea, rocking ever so softly on the tide. Now let me tell you about the top of Saturn, right up at its North Pole, because there's something up there so odd and so beautiful that when we first saw it clearly, hardly anyone could quite believe it. There's a storm up there, a great slow swirling of cloud, and instead of being round the way you'd expect a storm to be, it's shaped like a perfect six-sided figure, a great gentle hexagon drawn in cloud, wider than our whole Earth, 6 long straight edges, 6 soft corners, turning slowly around and around at the very crown of the planet, holding their neat and patient shape across the years and the decades and the long, slow ages. Nobody had ever seen anything quite like it. This vast, quiet, six-sided swirl at the top of the world, turning so slowly and so faithfully out there in the golden dark. Just let that image drift through your mind. That great calm shape, so orderly and so still, keeping its patient form high above the clouds while everything below it turns. There's a little moon of Saturn's I want to tell you about too. One of the strangest and most charming in the whole family. And its name is Iapetus. Now Iapetus is a bit of a puzzle because one half of it is bright as fresh snow, and the other half is dark as soft coal, so that as it slowly turns, it seems to shift from light to shadow, like a little world painted half in day and half in night. For the longest time, nobody could work out why. And the answer, when it came, was as gentle as everything else out here. As Iapetus drifts along its path, its leading face very slowly gathers a fine dark dust from farther out, while its icy trailing side stays clean and pale and bright. And so it turns, this odd two-toned little world, one cheek dark and one cheek light, drifting patiently around its great ringed parent, showing first its bright face and then its shadowed one, over and over, in no hurry at all. And there's another of Saturn's moons, a tiny one called Mimas, that's so sweet I can't leave it out. Mimas is small and round and icy, and long ago something struck it and left behind a single enormous crater, so big compared to the little moon itself that it gives Mimas the look of a great round eye gazing softly out into space, or the face of some gentle sleeping thing. It's a soft old scar, that crater, worn smooth and gentle by the long ages, and Mimas carries it calmly as it circles, this little pale moon with its one great tranquil eye, drifting around Saturn in the quiet, keeping its slow and faithful orbit exactly as it always has. Let me draw you back in now, in past all the rings and moons, to something closer and warmer, because I want to tell you a little about the way sunlight touches the different worlds. Out here on our own Earth, the sky is blue, that soft, familiar blue we've known all our lives, because our air scatters the sunlight in just the right gentle way. But on Mars, that quiet, rusty world, things happen the other way around. During the day, the Martian sky is a soft, dusty butterscotch color, a pale tan glow from all the fine dust hanging in its thin air. And then, when the sun goes down over Mars, the colors turn around entirely, and the sky right around the setting, sun blushes a cool, gentle blue, a soft blue sunset on a red and dusty world. Just imagine standing there in that quiet, watching that little faraway sun sink down, and seeing that soft blue glow spread slowly across the evening, so still, so silent, so utterly calm. A blue dusk on a world where no one is in any hurry at all. And speaking of things that drift down softly, let me tell you about the gentle rain that's thought to fall on the two farthest giant worlds, on Uranus and on Neptune, those deep and dreamy blue planets at the edge of everything. Deep down inside them, far below the clouds, the pressure grows so great and the conditions turn so strange that scientists believe it may quite literally rain diamonds, soft little drops of diamond, forming high up and then sinking slowly, slowly down through the dark insides of those enormous blue worlds. A quiet, glittering rainfall, drifting endlessly downward in the deep. Just picture that, somewhere out there tonight, in the hushed heart of those far blue planets, a slow shower of tiny diamonds falling gently through the dark, sparkling as they go, settling softly into the depths, a secret and beautiful weather that no one will ever see. Neptune has a story I've always loved too, and it's about how we found it in the first place. Most of the worlds out there were spotted simply by looking, by someone patient tipping their gaze up into the dark and noticing a little point of light that wandered. But Neptune, so far away and so faint, was found in a different way entirely. It was found with mathematics, with pencil and paper, before anyone had ever laid eyes on it. Astronomers noticed that Uranus was drifting along its path just a touch oddly, as though something unseen were tugging gently at it from farther out. And so they sat down and worked out, from that tiny gentle tug, exactly where the hidden world must be. And when they finally pointed a telescope at the very spot the numbers had promised, there it was, that deep sapphire world, waiting quietly in the dark, right where the arithmetic said it would be. Isn't that a soft and wonderful thing? That a whole planet was felt before it was ever seen, sensed through the faintest tremble in another world's path, and found at last exactly where it had been drifting patiently all along. And out past Neptune, in that cold and quiet realm of little frozen worlds, there are more of them than you might ever guess, each one with its own gentle name and its own slow, faithful path. There's one called Make-Make, and another called Haumea, and a third called Eris, far off in the deep dark, each of them a small, pale world of ice drifting along in its own vast, patient circle. Haumea is the oddest of the three, spinning so quickly that it's been stretched out into a soft, smooth, egg-like shape, turning end over end in the cold. And Eris, way out there at the very edge, is so far from the sun that a single year on Eris, one full loop around, takes more than 500 of our own years to complete. Just think of that. A single trip around the sun so long that the whole of recorded history would barely fill a couple of Eris years. And out there, it drifts along that enormous quiet circle, in no hurry whatsoever, taking all the time in the world, and then some more. Let that vastness settle softly over you now. All those little frozen worlds out there in the cold and gentle dark, drifting along their enormous slow paths, each one turning quietly through its long, long year, asking nothing, hurrying for nothing, simply being exactly what they are, exactly where they are, out in the deep, peaceful edges of everything. And you here, warm and still and safe, drifting your own gentle way toward sleep, held just as softly by the quiet of this night. There's something else I've always found wonderfully calming to think about out here, and it's the way everything is moving together, all of it in the same gentle direction. You might imagine that all these worlds we've drifted past tonight are wandering off any which way, each one going about its own business with no regard for the others. But the truth is far softer than that. Nearly all of them are turning the same way, circling the sun in the same direction, all going round and round in the same wide, patient loop, like leaves drifting slowly around and around the same quiet pool. And more than that, they all lie in very nearly the same flat plane, as though someone had laid them all out gently on an enormous smooth tabletop and given them the faintest push. And off they went, spinning together, forever, in the same soft, unhurried circle. The reason for that is one of the gentlest stories of all. A very, very long time ago, before there was an Earth or a moon or any of the worlds you know, there was just a vast, slowly turning cloud, a great soft haze of dust and gas drifting quietly in the dark. And over unimaginable stretches of time, that cloud began to settle, to flatten, to spin itself gently into a wide, thin disk, turning slowly around a warm, bright center. And out of that spinning disk, little by little, grain by grain, the worlds gathered themselves together, each one growing quietly out of the same soft swirl. So when you look at the planets all circling in the same flat plane, all turning the same gentle way, you're really looking at the memory of that first slow cloud, still turning, still drifting, all these billions of years later, exactly as it began. Isn't that a lovely thing to rest your mind on? Everything out there tonight is still carrying the shape of the quiet cloud it was born from, still turning in the same soft direction it first began to turn, so very long ago. And here's something even softer to think about. That very same spinning is the reason your night and your day exist at all. The earth beneath you is turning, gently, steadily, carrying you slowly around toward the light and then slowly back into the dark, once every day and every night, the way it always has. You can't feel it, of course. There's no sense of motion at all, no wind of it, no rush. You're simply turning, quietly, along with everything and everyone else, being carried softly through the dark toward another morning you don't need to think about yet. Right now, on the far side of the world, the sun is shining down on people just waking up, just beginning their day. While here, on your side, the world has turned its face gently away from the light, and it's your turn to rest. And in a few slow hours, without any effort from anyone, the world will have turned again, and the light will come creeping softly back. But that's a long way off yet. For now, you're on the quiet side, the dark and peaceful side, exactly where you're meant to be. Let me tell you about the wind out here too, because it's not the kind of wind you know. From the sun, all the time, in every direction, there flows a soft and constant stream, a gentle breath of tiny particles drifting outward through the whole solar system. They call it the solar wind, and it's nothing like the wind that stirs the trees outside your window. It makes no sound. It has no chill to it. It simply drifts outward from the sun, slow and steady and endless, washing gently over every world it passes, flowing on and on into the dark. And when that soft stream reaches a world with the right kind of shelter around it, something beautiful can happen. Here on Earth, our planet holds a great invisible field wrapped around it, a quiet magnetic embrace. And when the solar wind brushes against it, the particles are drawn gently down toward the far north and the far south, toward the top and the bottom of the world. And there, high up in the cold night sky, they set the air aglow. Those are the northern and southern lights, those slow curtains of soft green and gentle violet that ripple silently across the polar skies. If you've ever seen them, or even just seen pictures of them, you'll know there's nothing else quite like it. Those great shimmering veils of light, drifting and folding and swaying overhead, utterly silent, in no hurry at all. And what they really are, at heart, is just the soft breath of the sun, having traveled all that way across the dark, finally coming to rest in our sky as a slow and silent glow, somewhere on Earth tonight, in the far cold north or the far cold south. Those lights are drifting across the sky this very moment, green and quiet and lovely, and hardly anyone is awake to see them. Just picture that, a sky full of slow, silent color, folding and unfolding over the snow, while the world below it sleeps. And the sun that sends out all of that great warm heart of everything, is so much larger than we ever really let ourselves imagine. If you could somehow gather up every single planet in the whole solar system, all of them together, Jupiter and Saturn and Neptune and all the rest, every world we've drifted past tonight, and roll them all into one, the sun would still be far, far bigger than the whole lot combined. It holds almost everything there is out here. Nearly all the material in the entire solar system is gathered up in that one warm, glowing sphere. And everything else, all the planets and moons and little icy worlds, all of it put together, is just the small, soft crumbs left over, drifting around the edges. When you think of it that way, the sun isn't just the center of everything. In a very real sense, the sun very nearly is everything, and the rest of us are just the gentle scatter of what remained, circling quietly around that one great light. But here's the softest part. For all its size, for all its power, from where you lie tonight, it's simply the thing that warms your days and colors your evenings. It asks nothing of you. It just shines, steadily, patiently, the way it has for billions of years, and the way it will for billions more, pouring out its warmth in every direction, freely, endlessly, whether anyone is watching or not. And a little of that warmth found its way to you today, and it will find its way to you again tomorrow, without you ever having to do a single thing to earn it. Rest in that for a moment. There is a great warm light at the center of everything, and it has been keeping you gently warm your whole life. And it will go on doing so, quietly, for longer than you can imagine. Now let me draw your thoughts back out to the far, quiet edges again, because there's something out there I find endlessly soothing. And it's the two little travelers we sent into the dark a long time ago. Many years back, we built a pair of small spacecraft and sent them drifting outward, past all the giant worlds, out toward the very edge of everything. And they're still going. Right now, this very night, those two little travelers are further from home than anything we've ever made, drifting slowly and silently through the deep dark beyond all the planets, still whispering the faintest signals back to us across that enormous distance. They're in no hurry. They just drift onward, patiently, further and further into the quiet, carrying with them a little golden record of who we are, of the sounds of our world, our music, our voices, our gentle hellos, tucked away inside them, just in case anyone, someday, ever finds them out there in the dark. Think of that for a moment as you settle deeper, out past everything we've spoken of tonight, out beyond Neptune and Pluto and all the little frozen worlds. Two small, quiet travelers are drifting on through the endless dark, carrying a little piece of our song out into the stars. And they will keep on drifting, gently, silently, for millions and millions of years, long after tonight, long after all of us, still carrying that soft golden hello outward through the deep. There's something so peaceful in that, isn't there? We reached out, once, gently, into the vast quiet, not to conquer anything or to hurry anywhere, but simply to say, softly, we were here, and we wondered about you. And those small, kind messengers are still out there tonight, drifting on, saying it still. And all around those little travelers, all around every world we visited, there's the great soft silence of space itself. You might think of space as empty, and in a way it is, but it's not a cold and lonely kind of empty. It's more like the quiet of a very large, very still room in the middle of the night. The kind of hush that feels soft rather than sharp, restful rather than lonely. Out there between the worlds, there's no sound at all, because sound needs air to carry it. And out in that great open dark, there's almost nothing for a sound to travel through. So it's not that space is loud and we can't hear it. It's that space is truly, deeply, perfectly quiet. Quieter than anywhere you've ever been. Quieter than the stillest night. Quieter than the softest snowfall. A silence so complete and so gentle that it wraps around everything out there like the softest blanket you can imagine. Let that quiet settle over you now. Imagine the great hush of it, that endless soft silence stretching out between all the worlds, undisturbed, unbroken, patient beyond measure. No noise, no rush, no clamor of any kind. Just the gentle turning of the planets, the slow drift of the moons, the quiet fall of light from the sun, all of it happening in perfect silence, all of it moving so slowly and so smoothly that even the biggest storms and the mightiest motions feel, from far enough away, like the calmest thing in the world. And you, lying here in your own soft quiet, are part of that same great stillness, held in the same gentle hush that holds every world out there tonight. And the distances, oh, the distances out here are so vast and so soft that they almost lull you just to think of them. We measure them not in the small numbers of everyday life, but in how long it takes light itself to cross them. And light, remember, is the swiftest traveler there is. From the sun to the little travelers drifting at the edge, a beam of light, moving faster than anything, would still take the better part of a full day to make the journey, drifting outward hour after hour after hour before it finally reached them. Just think how far that is. Something that could circle our whole Earth many times over in a single second would need to travel steadily for the better part of a day just to reach the outer edges of our own quiet neighborhood. And that's just our little corner. That's just home. Beyond it lies more dark and more quiet and more soft distance than the mind can really hold. But you don't need to hold it. You don't need to grasp any of it tonight. Not the sizes, not the distances, not the long, slow years. You can simply let it all drift past you, gently, the way the light drifts outward and the worlds drift round, letting each soft thought come and go without holding on to any of it. That's the loveliest way to think of space, really. Not as something to understand or to measure, but as something to rest in. A great calm quiet that's been out there all along, turning and drifting and glowing, asking nothing of you, offering only its slow and patient peace. Let your mind go as soft and as open as that great dark, and let each thought fall away as easily as it came, sinking gently down into the quiet until there's nothing left to hold at all. Just the soft, warm weight of your own body, resting, and the slow, easy rhythm of your own breath, drifting in and out like the gentlest tide on the calmest shore. And here's something soft to carry with you now. A little thought about the sun and how it feeds every living thing back home. All that green you see on a summer's day, every leaf and every blade of grass, every tall tree and every tiny weed pushing up between the stones. All of it is quietly drinking in that faraway light and turning it into life. The energy that let your dinner grow, the energy in the bread and the fruit and every green and growing thing, it all came drifting down from that same warm star we've been circling all night. So in a very real and gentle way, you are made of sunlight too. The light left the sun, crossed all that quiet dark, fell softly onto a growing thing, and became part of you. Isn't that a lovely thing to rest your mind on? You are, in the softest sense, a little piece of a star, lying here warm and safe beneath your blankets, made of the same gentle light that colors every sunset. Let me tell you about a strange and peaceful place out among the moons of Saturn, a little world called Enceladus. It's small and bright and covered all over in clean white ice. And for the longest time, nobody thought there was anything special about it at all. Just another quiet, frozen ball drifting in the dark. But when we sent a little spacecraft drifting past it, we found something wonderful. Down near its southern end, through soft cracks in the ice, great gentle plumes of water are quietly spraying up into space, rising slowly and silently, freezing into a fine mist of tiny crystals that drift outward and settle into Saturn's rings. Imagine that for a moment. A tiny frozen moon, far out in the cold, breathing softly into space, sending up its slow, quiet fountains hour after hour, year after year, feeding one of Saturn's faint outer rings with its own gentle snow. And beneath that icy crust, warm and dark and hidden away, there's an ocean of liquid water, salty and deep, kept warm by the slow squeezing of Saturn's pull. A whole secret sea, tucked away on a little moon you could walk across in a few days, quietly holding its warmth against all that outer cold. There may be no calmer place in all the solar system than the deep, dark waters under the ice of Enceladus, still and silent and utterly at peace, undisturbed since the beginning of everything. And while we're drifting here among the rings, let me tell you how thin they really are, because it's one of the gentlest surprises of all. Those great shimmering rings of Saturn stretch out so wide that you could lay many Earths side by side across them. And yet, for all that width, they're astonishingly thin, thinner than you'd ever believe. If you were to shrink Saturn down to the size of a beach ball, its rings would be thousands of times thinner than the sharpest sheet of paper, thinner than anything you could hold in your hand. A vast, wide, delicate sheet of ice and light spread out flat and gentle across the sky, catching the sunlight and throwing it softly back. From far enough away, when the rings turn edge onto us, they very nearly vanish, becoming just a thin, bright line, a single quiet stroke of light drawn across the dark. Then, slowly, over the long years, they tilt and open up again, and all that soft shimmering width returns. Just a slow and patient tilting, back and forth, across the decades, as Saturn drifts along its long, long path around the sun. Now let me draw you gently back toward home for a moment, back toward our own warm blue world, because there's something quietly wonderful about the way our little planet holds its water. Nearly 3/4 of the Earth's surface is covered in ocean. All that soft rolling water, deep and blue and endless. And yet, if you could somehow gather up every drop of it, all the seas and all the rivers and all the rain, and roll it into a single ball, that ball would be far smaller than you'd think. Just a modest little sphere of water resting beside the great dry bulk of the Earth. all the water we have, all the oceans that ships have crossed and waves have broken and children have paddled in. All of it is really just a thin and precious film, a delicate wet shimmer spread across the surface of a rocky world. It makes you love it a little more, doesn't it? To think how rare and how gentle that water really is. How carefully our world holds on to it, this soft blue blanket of ocean that keeps everything alive and lets the rain fall and the rivers run and the clouds drift slowly across the summer sky. And speaking of clouds, let me tell you about the clouds on other worlds, because they're not at all like ours, and there's something dreamy about picturing them. On our own Earth, clouds are made of water, soft and white and familiar, drifting overhead on a lazy afternoon. But out among the other planets, the clouds are made of the strangest and most delicate things. On Venus, the clouds are made of tiny droplets of acid, hanging high in that thick golden air. Far out on Neptune, some of the high clouds may be made of frozen methane, glittering faintly in the dim, distant light. And on some of the coldest worlds of all, it may drift down not as rain or snow, but as something even softer and stranger, a slow, gentle fall of frozen gases, settling silently onto the frozen ground. Whole skies full of clouds you could never quite touch, drifting over worlds no one has ever walked, in colors and shapes we can barely picture, all of them turning slowly and silently in the dark. No one watching, no one hurrying, just the quiet weather of distant worlds carrying on exactly as it always has. Here's another soft thing to think about as you sink a little deeper. You know how, on a clear night, you can look up and see a faint band of pale light stretching across the whole sky. That soft, milky glow that people have wondered at for as long as there have been people. That's our own galaxy, seen from the inside. All those countless stars so far away and so close together that they blur into a single gentle river of light. And our whole solar system, the sun, and all the planets, and all the moons, and all the little icy wanderers we've drifted past tonight. All of it sits inside that great slow river, riding along together as the galaxy turns. And it turns so grandly and so slowly that a single full circle, one complete turn of the whole galaxy, takes something like 230 million years. Think of that. The last time our little sun was in the very spot it occupies now, moving along this same soft curve. The great gentle giants that once walked the earth were only just beginning, and still we turn, quietly, patiently, carried along on that vast slow wheel, never feeling a thing, never in any hurry, just drifting along the great bright arm of the galaxy at a pace so gentle and so grand that a single turn outlasts entire ages of the world. Let me tell you about a quiet little world called Triton, the largest moon of distant Neptune, because it has one of the strangest and softest secrets of all. Triton drifts along backwards, circling its planet the wrong way round, which tells us it wasn't born beside Neptune at all. Long, long ago, it was a free little wanderer, drifting on its own out in the cold, dark edges of everything. And one day, it drifted just a little too close to Neptune and was gently caught, pulled softly into orbit. And there it has stayed ever since, circling patiently the wrong way round. And on its frozen surface, in the thin, cold air, there are soft geysers too, slow, gentle plumes of nitrogen drifting up into the dim, distant sky, rising and settling in the faint, far light of a sun, so distant it looks like just another bright star. A captured wanderer, quietly breathing its cold breath into the dark, far, far from the warmth of home, and yet perfectly at peace out there, turning slowly, doing exactly what it has always done. And here's something gentle about the way the giant planets glow. You might think all the warmth in the solar system comes from the sun, and out here, close to home, most of it does. But far out among the giants, something soft and surprising is happening. Saturn, and Neptune too, are quietly giving off more warmth than they receive from the distant sun. Deep down inside them, slowly and patiently, they're still settling, still gently squeezing themselves together under their own great weight. And that slow settling gives off a soft warmth of its own, a quiet inner glow that seeps up from deep within. So these great worlds aren't only warmed from outside by the faraway star, they carry a little warmth of their own, deep in their hearts, a slow, gentle heat left over from the day they were born, still radiating softly out into the cold after all these billions of years. There's something comforting in that, isn't there? The thought of these enormous worlds keeping their own quiet warmth alive through all the long ages, glowing gently from within, never quite going cold. Let me tell you one more soft thing about our own moon before we drift onward, because it's something you can see for yourself on any clear night. When you look up at the moon, you always see the very same face, the same soft pattern of light and dark, the same gentle markings your grandparents saw, and their grandparents before them, all the way back through all the people who have ever looked up. That's because the moon turns exactly once for every time it circles us, so it always keeps the same side turned our way, forever. There's a whole other side we never see from home, the far side, quiet and hidden, turned always toward the deep, dark space beyond. For all of human history, no one knew what it looked like, that hidden face of our closest companion. It was only when we sent little spacecraft drifting around behind it that we finally saw it, softly lit, for the very first time. And there's something lovely and faithful in that. The way the moon keeps the same gentle face turned toward us night after night, year after year, a steady, quiet companion that never quite turns away. And here, drifting among all these thoughts, let me leave you with the gentlest fact of all about how everything holds together. Every world we've spoken of tonight, every planet and moon, every ring and every drifting speck of ice is held in its slow, soft path by nothing more than the quiet pull of things toward one another. There are no ropes out there, no rails, no walls, nothing pushing or pulling in any hurried way. Just the endless patient tug of one thing toward another, so gentle you'd never feel it, and yet strong enough to hold whole worlds in their long, slow circles for billions of years. The moon is held to the earth by it, and the earth to the sun, and the sun to the great turning galaxy. All of it a soft web of gentle pulls, holding everything exactly where it needs to be, letting nothing drift too far, letting nothing fall away. And you, lying here so still and so heavy and so safe, are held by that very same gentle pull, drawn softly down toward the great warm heart of the earth, held snug against it, kept exactly where you are, never drifting, never falling, simply resting, held by the same quiet force that cradles every world in the sky. Let that hold you now, soft and sure and steady, as everything out there keeps turning slowly around you, in no hurry at all, asking nothing, offering only its long, slow, patient peace. Let me tell you about the two little moons of Mars, because they're among the smallest and gentlest companions of all. Mars doesn't have one great silver moon like ours. Instead, it has two tiny ones, little lumpy things no bigger than a mountain, named Phobos and Deimos. They're so small that if you stood on the surface of Mars and looked up, they wouldn't be great glowing disks the way our moon is. They'd be more like little drifting stones up there, catching the faint sunlight, moving softly across that dusty pink sky. And the nearer one, Phobos, drifts so close and so quick that it rises and sets more than once in a single Martian day, sliding gently across the heavens, while the other one, Deimos, moves so slowly and so calmly that it seems to hang there almost still, barely creeping along. Two quiet little companions, one hurrying softly, one drifting slow, keeping the red world company through all its long, cold, peaceful nights. And someday, ever so gradually, little Phobos will drift closer still, so slowly you'd never notice, in no hurry at all, the way everything out here takes its time. Let me tell you about one of the loveliest moons of all now, a place called Titan. Way out there circling the great ringed world of Saturn, Titan is a strange and gentle wonder because it's the only moon in the whole solar system with a proper thick atmosphere of its own. A soft, hazy sky wrapped all the way around it, golden and dim and dreamy. And under that golden haze, something wonderful is happening. There are rivers out there on Titan, and lakes, and gentle seas. Not seas of water, mind you, because Titan is far too cold for that. These are seas of soft liquid methane, cool and calm, lapping quietly at shores of dark, frozen ground. Imagine that for a moment, as you lie here so warm and so safe. A whole distant world with clouds drifting overhead, and a gentle rain falling ever so slowly through that thick air, and rivers winding down to fill quiet lakes, all of it under a soft amber sky. It rains there, gently, the drops falling slow and fat and lazy through the heavy air, slower than any rain you've ever watched from a window. And it pools into rivers that carve soft valleys, and it gathers into great calm lakes near the poles, sitting there still and dark and patient in the cold. A whole world with its own weather, its own quiet water cycle, its own soft shores, drifting out there in the dark right now, doing all of this in perfect silence, exactly as it has for ages and ages. And here's a soft thought about the giant world Titan circles. A single day on Saturn, one full turn of that great golden planet, takes only about 10.5 hours from start to finish. Isn't that a gentle surprise? A world so enormous you could fit hundreds of Earths inside it. And yet it spins around so smoothly and so steadily that its whole day is less than half of one of ours. All those creamy golden bands of cloud, sweeping softly all the way around in less time than you'd spend on a long afternoon nap. It doesn't feel rushed though, not out there. It just turns, easy and even, the way a great wheel turns when nothing is pushing it, simply carried along by the gentle spin it was born with. Long, long ago. Let me tell you about the light of the planets and how it's different from the light of the stars, because it's a soft and lovely thing to understand. When you look up on a clear night and you see all those little points of light, some of them are stars, burning far away with their own fire, twinkling and shimmering as their light comes trembling down through our air. But a few of those lights, the very steadiest and brightest ones, aren't stars at all. They're the other planets, our neighbors, and they don't make their own light. They shine only because they're catching the light of our sun and reflecting it softly back to us, the same way the moon does. And that's why the planets don't twinkle the way the stars do. They shine with a calm, steady, unwavering glow, holding still and patient up there. Gentle little lamps that are really just other worlds, catching the sunlight and passing it quietly along to your eyes. So the next time you see a bright, steady light in the evening sky that isn't flickering like the rest, there's a good chance you're looking at another world entirely, another planet, softly lit by the very same sun that warms you, sending its borrowed light across all that distance just to reach you where you lie. And speaking of that, there's Venus again, that soft, bright neighbor we visited early in our journey tonight. Venus is often the very first light to appear in the evening, glowing there low in the west as the sky goes dim, so bright and so beautiful that people have watched it and loved it for as long as anyone can remember. And sometimes it does the same thing in the morning, hanging there in the east just before dawn, the last light to fade as the sun comes up. The morning star and the evening star, people used to call it. Before we understood, they were one and the same. One soft, bright, faithful world, keeping watch at the edges of the day, greeting the dark as it falls and greeting the light as it returns, ever so gently. Let me tell you about a moon that's bigger than you might expect, a great one called Ganymede, drifting around Jupiter. Ganymede is the largest moon in the entire solar system, so large, in fact, that it's actually bigger than the planet Mercury, that little scorched world we visited near the sun. Just think of that softly for a moment. A moon, a mere companion to another world, and yet it's grown so great that it outsizes a whole planet. If it circled the sun on its own instead of circling Jupiter, we'd surely call it a planet in its own right. And it has something no other moon has too, a gentle magnetic field of its own, wrapped quietly around it. The only moon we know of that makes one. So there it drifts, this great giant of a moon, larger than a planet, cloaked in its own soft magnetism, turning slowly around mighty Jupiter through the long dark years. A world within the shadow of a bigger world, patient and enormous and calm. Let me tell you now about the rings, because Saturn isn't the only one who has them, even though it's the only one whose rings you can easily see. It turns out that all four of the great giant worlds wear rings of their own. Jupiter has a faint, thin, dusky ring, so delicate and so dim you'd hardly know it was there. Uranus, that pale, tipped-over world, has a set of narrow, dark rings circling it quietly. And Neptune, the deep blue one at the far edge, has its own faint rings too, gentle and incomplete, gathered into soft clumps and arcs, rather than smooth full circles. None of them are grand and glorious like Saturn's shimmering halo, but they're there all the same, four ringed worlds turning softly in the dark, each one wearing its own quiet crown, most of them so faint and so subtle that we only found them when we sent our little spacecraft drifting close enough to see. Isn't there something lovely in that? All these giant worlds, each one circled by its own soft band of dust and ice, quietly adorned, keeping their gentle rings turning around them through all the long ages, whether anyone is there to see them or not. Let me tell you about the far, far edge now, about another one of those distant little worlds out past everything, a place called Makemake. It's one of the dwarf planets, out there in the cold beyond Neptune, drifting along its long, slow path in the deep dark. Makemake is a soft reddish-brown little world, covered in frozen ice so cold it's hard to even imagine, so far from the sun that the light out there is dim and faint, more like a bright evening star than the great warm lamp we know down here. It takes Makemake around 300 years to make a single trip around the sun, one long, slow, patient orbit, drifting round and round through the dark at the very edges of the solar system. 300 of our years, just for one of its years to pass. Whole human lifetimes come and go, generations rise and fade, and out there, little Makemake barely completes a single quiet circle, in no hurry whatsoever, asking nothing of the passing centuries. And there's another one out there too, perhaps the most distant and mysterious of them all, a cold little world called Eris. Eris is out there even further, so far away and so faint that we only found it fairly recently. A tiny point of light creeping ever so slowly across the sky. It's about the same size as Pluto, that gentle world we met before, and it too has a little moon of its own for company in all that darkness. A small, quiet companion drifting along beside it. Eris takes so long to circle the sun, more than 500 years for a single orbit, that since the time it was born, it has only gone around a handful of times. Picture that softly. A whole world, out there in the deep cold, turning through a year so long that all of recorded human history would fit inside just one of its slow trips around the sun. It doesn't rush. It simply drifts out there at the frozen edge, keeping its own slow and ancient time, so far from us that the sun itself is little more than a bright and distant star in its dark and gentle sky. Let me tell you about something soft that happens here on our own Earth, up in the highest reaches of the air, because it ties us gently back to all that space out there. All around us, high above the clouds, our planet is wrapped in soft layers of air, one resting on top of the next, growing thinner and thinner as they climb toward space. Down here where you lie, the air is thick and warm and full, easy to breathe, pressing softly all around you. But go up and up, past the birds, past the clouds, past the height where the great airplanes drift, and the air grows thinner and thinner, softer and softer, until at last it simply fades away into the gentle emptiness of space, with no hard edge, no wall, no line, just a slow and gentle thinning, our warm blanket of air melting quietly away into the dark. And that soft blanket is what keeps us safe and warm, what holds in the heat and softens the sunlight and gives us every breath we've ever taken. All of us down here, cradled under that thin and gentle layer of air, so delicate when you think of it, and yet enough to hold a whole living world. And here's a soft and dreamy thing about the light out at the edges of our sky, a thing you can sometimes see on the very darkest and clearest of nights, far from any town. If you look toward where the sun has set, long after it's gone, you can sometimes catch a faint, soft, cone-shaped glow rising gently up from the horizon, pale and dim and easy to miss. That soft glow has a lovely gentleness to it, because it's sunlight, faint and scattered, catching on countless tiny specks of dust, drifting in the great flat plain where all the planets move. Tiny grains of dust spread thin across the whole inner solar system, each one catching a little sunlight and passing it softly along, all of them together making that faint pale glow in the darkest sky. Dust from old comets, dust from gentle collisions long ago, all of it drifting quietly in the same flat plain, where the Earth and all its sister worlds swing slowly around the sun. And when you see that soft light, you're really seeing the shape of the whole solar system laid out before you. That great flat disk we all drift within, glowing ever so faintly in the dark. Let me leave you with one more gentle thought before we drift onward. Every one of these worlds we've spoken of, from the little scorched planet nearest the sun, all the way out to cold and distant Eris at the frozen edge, every single one of them is drifting through the very same dark, warmed by the very same star, held in the very same slow and patient dance. They're not strangers to one another, these worlds. They're a family, born together long ago from the same great soft cloud of dust and gas, spun out from the same slow spinning, all of them turning now around the same gentle golden light. And you, lying here so warm and so still, are part of that very same family too, resting on one of those worlds, carried softly along with all the rest, drifting through the same quiet dark, held by the same gentle light, in no hurry at all, exactly where you belong. And everything out there, every world and every moon, was born from that very same soft beginning, spun together out of the same great cloud so long ago. And here's a gentle thought that follows on from that, one that people find wonderfully soothing when they let it sink in. The stuff you're made of, the very atoms in your hands and in your breath and in your quietly beating heart, all of it came from the stars, long before there was a sun, long before there was an earth to lie down on. There were older stars that lived their slow lives, and then, ever so gently, gave themselves back to the dark. And in their glowing hearts, over unimaginable stretches of time, they made the very things we're built from. The iron in your blood, the calcium in your bones, the oxygen you're breathing in right now. All of it was cooked up softly inside stars that shone long ago. So when you look up at the night sky and feel small, remember that you're not really separate from all that light out there. You're made of it. You're a little piece of the universe, resting here for a while, warm and quiet and alive. Isn't that a lovely thing to carry with you into sleep? That you and the stars are family, made of the very same stuff, drifting through the very same long, slow night. Let me tell you about the seasons now, because they come from something so gentle you'd hardly believe it. You know how the year turns slowly from warm to cool and back again, how the days grow long and golden in the summer, and then soften into the short, cozy days of winter. All of that, every season you've ever felt, comes from the simple fact that our Earth leans ever so slightly as it drifts around the sun. Our whole world is tilted, just a little, tipped gently to one side, like a head resting softly on a shoulder. And because of that little tilt, as we make our slow, yearly journey around the sun, first one half of the Earth leans toward the light, and then, months later, the other half does. When your part of the world leans toward the sun, the days grow long and warm, and summer settles in. And when it leans gently away, the light comes slanting in soft and low, and the days grow short and cool, and winter wraps around everything. That's all it is. Not some great dramatic thing, just a gentle lean, a soft tipping of the whole world, giving us the slow turning of the seasons we've known all our lives. And it's been leaning like that, faithfully, for billions of years, giving every living thing its summers and its winters, its times to grow and its times to rest. Even now, as you lie here, Our whole planet is leaning quietly through space, carrying you through one more turn of the great slow year. And here's a soft thing that follows from all that turning and leaning. When you feel the warmth of a summer's day, or you watch the frost settle on a cold winter morning, you're feeling the whole solar system at work. That patient dance of world and star, playing out in the smallest, coziest ways, in the way the light falls across your floor in the afternoon, in the long shadows of evening, in the particular gold of the low winter sun. All of it comes from that same slow drifting, that same gentle lean, the same quiet machinery that keeps the planet swinging around the sun. And you don't have to do a single thing to be part of it. You just have to be here, breathing softly, letting the great slow wheel turn around you exactly as it always has. Let me tell you about the shooting stars now. Those little streaks of light you sometimes catch out of the corner of your eye on a clear, dark night. They feel so grand, don't they? Those sudden silver lines drawn across the sky. And yet the truth of them is one of the gentlest, most surprising things of all. Most shooting stars are made by nothing bigger than a tiny grain of dust, a speck no larger than a grain of sand, drifting quietly through space until it meets the very top of our air. And when it does, it moves so swiftly that it glows, just for a moment, a brief, soft flare of light high above the world, and then it's gone. That's all a shooting star really is. A little speck of ancient dust, some of it left behind by comets that passed this way long ago, saying a quiet, glowing farewell as it slips into our sky. And on certain nights of the year, when the Earth drifts through a whole trail of that old comet dust, the sky fills with them, dozens of soft little streaks, an hour, one after another, silent and gentle, falling all through the small hours while most of the world sleeps. People lie out on blankets to watch them, warm under the stars, counting the soft flashes as they come. And each one is just a tiny grain of the solar system, some old traveler finally coming home, giving one last little glow before it fades. Isn't that a peaceful thing? That even something as lovely as a shooting star is really just a soft goodbye, a gentle handing back of dust to the world that made it. Let me tell you about the light of the moon now. That soft silver glow that fills the night when the moon is full and high. It's such a gentle light, isn't it? Cool and pale and easy on the eyes. Nothing like the bright dazzle of the sun. It falls so softly across the fields and the rooftops, silvering everything it touches, casting long, quiet shadows across the ground. And here's the gentle truth of it. Moonlight isn't really the moon's own light at all. The moon makes no light of its own, not a single glimmer. All that soft silver glow is really sunlight, the very same sunlight that warms your days, simply falling on the moon and bouncing gently back to us across all that dark. So when you stand in the moonlight on a clear night, feeling that cool, pale glow settle over you, you're really standing in sunlight still. Just sunlight that's traveled a little further, taken the long, soft way round, off to the moon, and gently back again. It's the same warm light of day, only softened, only quieted, only made gentle enough to sleep by. And it's been doing that for as long as there's been a moon to catch it, turning the harsh, bright day into something soft and silver and calm. A light made just gentle enough for the night. And think, too, of how the moon changes, slowly, night after night, growing from the thinnest silver sliver to a great round glowing disk, and then softly shrinking away again, over and over, patient and unhurried. That whole slow cycle, the waxing and the waning, is nothing more than the moon drifting around us, showing us a little more of its sunlit face, and then a little less, as it makes its long, quiet circle month after month. There's no rush to it, no hurry at all, just a slow and faithful turning. The same soft rhythm the moon has kept since long before anyone was here to watch it. And the same soft rhythm it'll keep long after tonight is only a memory. People have set their calendars by it, told their stories by it, fallen asleep beneath it for thousands and thousands of years. And it's still up there right now, somewhere above the clouds, drifting quietly through its slow, gentle phases, exactly as it always has. Let me tell you one more soft thing about a little photograph taken a long time ago, from very, very far away. There was a spacecraft, one of those small, patient travelers we sent, drifting out toward the edge of everything. And when it had gone so far that the Earth was nothing more than a tiny speck behind it, it turned its camera around just once and took a picture looking back the way it had come. And in that picture, our whole world, everything we've ever known, every ocean and mountain, every city and forest, everyone who's ever lived and loved and slept beneath the stars, all of it showed up as nothing more than a single tiny point of pale blue light, smaller than a speck of dust, hanging there in the vast soft dark. A pale blue dot, someone called it, and the name has stayed ever since. And there's something wonderfully peaceful about that, isn't there? To think that our entire world, with all its noise and all its worry, is really just a small blue point of light adrift in the gentle dark, so tiny, so quiet, so precious. All of it, everything, cradled on that one soft speck. And you, lying here tonight, are somewhere on that little blue dot right now, warm and safe upon it, carried gently along with everyone and everything you've ever known. All of us together on our small round world, drifting through the same soft dark. Let that settle over you now. The thought of that little blue point of light, so small against all that space, and yet holding absolutely everything that matters to us. There's no need to feel small about it. If anything, it makes the whole world feel closer, feel cozier. All of us gathered together on the same gentle speck, sharing the same warm light, breathing the same soft air. And out beyond us, the great dark spreads on, quiet and patient, full of all those drifting worlds we've spoken of, all of them part of the same slow family, all of them turning gently around the same golden light. Let me leave you with the softest thought of all before we drift on toward the end. Everything out there, every one of those distant worlds, moves without a sound. There's no noise in space, none at all. No roar of engines, no crash of waves, no rush of wind between the worlds. Just deep and perfect quiet. A silence so complete and so gentle that it's almost like the quiet of a room where someone has just fallen asleep. All those enormous planets, all those great striped storms and shimmering rings and slowly turning moons. All of them drifting through that silence, moving in total stillness, doing everything they do without making the faintest sound. Jupiter's mighty storms rage on in perfect silence. Saturn's rings shimmer without a whisper. The comets fall in from the far cold edges without so much as a sigh. It's the most peaceful quiet there is, the quiet of the whole solar system turning gently in the dark. And it's been that way since the very beginning. And it'll go on being that way long after the longest night. So as you lie here, wrapped in your own soft quiet, breathing slow and easy, know that you're resting in tune with the whole universe out there. All of it as still and calm and silent as you are now. All of it drifting gently through the same deep, peaceful dark, in no hurry at all, exactly where it belongs. And so here we are, you and me, drifting together at the soft far end of everything we've talked about tonight. There's nowhere left to go, no more worlds to visit, no more distances to cross. Just this quiet and the slow, warm feeling of having wandered all the way out to the edge and back again, without ever once leaving the comfort of wherever you're lying right now. Let me tell you a last handful of soft things, gently, the way you'd whisper the end of a story to someone already half asleep. There's no need to hold on to any of it. Just let the words wash over you, like little waves lapping at a shore somewhere far away. You know, all through the long history of everything out there, the whole solar system has been spinning in the very same direction, round and round the same way, ever since it first formed. Nearly every planet turns the same way, and they all drift around the sun the same way too, like a great slow carousel that started turning billions of years ago and simply never stopped. There was a soft cloud once, a gentle swirl of dust and gas turning quietly in the dark. And everything we've spoken of tonight was born from that one slow spin. That's why it all still moves so smoothly, so patiently, all these ages later. The whole thing is just carrying on the same easy motion it began with, long before there was anyone here to watch it. And here's a lovely little thing to rest your mind on. If you could stand on the moon and look back at our Earth, you'd see it hanging there in the black sky, blue and white and impossibly soft. And it would never move from its spot. It wouldn't rise and it wouldn't set. It would simply hang there, turning ever so slowly in place, showing you its oceans and its swirling clouds, always in the very same part of the sky. Because the moon always shows us the same face, our Earth would always sit in the same place above it, like a nightlight left glowing gently in the corner of the room, never wandering, never leaving, just holding its soft blue watch over that quiet gray world forever. Let me tell you too about how gentle the outer dark really is when it comes to time. Way out past everything, in those far cold reaches, a single year, one lap around the sun, can stretch on for hundreds of our years. There are little worlds out there so far away that since the last time humans built their very first cities, since the pyramids, since anything we'd recognize as history, those worlds have barely crept a small way along their enormous slow circles. They're in no hurry at all. Nothing out there is. Everything simply takes the time it takes, unfolding across ages so long they make our whole busy lives feel like a single soft breath. And there's something so calming in that, isn't there? The thought that the universe never rushes, never worries about being late, never hurries anything along. It just moves, gently, in its own good time, exactly as slowly as it likes. Here's another soft one for you. All those countless little specks of ice and dust that drift between the worlds, all those tiny wanderers we've spoken of, they catch the faint light of the distant sun and scatter it softly through the emptiness. And that's part of why space isn't truly perfectly black. There's a faint, faint glow out there a whisper of light spread thin across the whole solar system, so gentle you'd never notice it, like the last dim glow of a candle in a room where everyone has gone to sleep. Even in the deepest dark, there's a little softness, a little warmth, a little light still drifting quietly along. And do you know, the sun itself, that great golden heart of everything, is slowly, ever so slowly, growing warmer and brighter across the long ages, so gradually that no one could ever feel it happen. It'll go on shining, steady and kind, for billions upon billions of years yet, warming its little family of worlds, holding them all close in its gentle pull, long after tonight, long after tomorrow, long after anything we could ever picture. There's a comfort in that, I think. That great warm light isn't going anywhere. It'll keep on rising over your part of the world, morning after morning, spilling gold across the sky, warming the tops of the trees and the edges of the rooftops, for longer than the mind can hold. Now, before you drift all the way down, let me tell you gently that this story doesn't have to end here. When my voice goes quiet in a little while, another soft one will begin all on its own. Another slow, calm journey, ready to carry you further into sleep. So there's no need to reach for anything, no need to move at all. Just let it play. Let it drift in behind you like the next gentle tide, and let it carry you onward while you rest. You don't have to do a single thing. It's already there, waiting, soft and patient, for whenever you need it. And if some quiet part of you would like to find your way back here again, on another restless night when sleep feels far away, you can let this little corner become a familiar one. A soft place you already know how to reach. There's no rush, no effort, nothing to remember. Just a gentle way of saying, come back whenever you like. And there'll always be a calm voice here, waiting in the dark to walk you slowly towards sleep again. Let me leave you with the very softest thoughts of all now. The last few little stars before the lights go out completely. Think of how everything out there is held, so gently, by nothing you can see. The moon held close to the earth held close to the sun itself drifting slowly around the great soft wheel of stars, carried along with all its little family of worlds, none of them ever falling, none of them ever lost, all of them simply held, softly and surely, in the quiet embrace of everything pulling gently toward everything else. Nothing out there is ever truly alone. It's all connected, all cradled, all carried along together through the long, calm dark. And think of how quiet it all is. We've drifted past storms bigger than whole worlds, past rings of shining ice, past oceans hidden beneath frozen shells, past mountains taller than any you could climb, and every bit of it moving without the faintest sound. All that grandeur, all that vastness, unfolding in perfect silence, as hushed as the room you're lying in now. The whole universe is a quiet place, a peaceful place, a place that has been resting and turning and drifting in the same soft stillness since the very beginning of time. And you are part of it. That's the loveliest thought of all. You're not separate from any of this, not standing outside looking in. You're made of the very same stuff as all those distant worlds, the same stuff as the stars, the same stuff as that faraway golden sun. Every gentle atom in you was forged somewhere out there in the deep, long ago, and drifted slowly down through the ages to become the warm and breathing you that's lying here right now, safe beneath your blankets at the soft end of the day. You belong to all of it. You always have. And tonight, as you sink down into sleep, you're doing exactly what the whole universe is doing all around you. Resting, turning gently, drifting softly through the dark, in no hurry at all, exactly where you belong. So let it all go now. Let the planets keep their slow, silent turning without you. Let the comets fall in from the cold, far edges and loop back out again. Let the moons keep circling, the rings keep shining, the great golden sun keep glowing away at the warm heart of it all. None of it needs you to watch over it tonight. It's all been drifting along just fine for billions of years, and it'll keep on drifting long after you've closed your eyes, patient and quiet and kind, holding everything softly in place while you sleep. There's nothing left to do, nowhere left to go, no thought you need to finish, no worry you need to carry into the dark. Everything is exactly where it should be. The earth is turning slowly beneath you, carrying you gently through the night toward the morning. The stars are keeping their soft watch overhead. And out there, all across that endless peaceful dark, every quiet world is drifting along in perfect stillness, just as you are, resting easy, wanting for nothing, held in the same great gentle calm. Let your breathing go slow and soft now, as slow and soft as the turning of the farthest world. Let every last bit of weight sink out of you and down into the warmth beneath you. Let the day dissolve, all of it, the whole of it, until there's nothing left but this quiet and the soft dark and the gentle knowledge that you are safe and small and precious and perfectly at peace among the stars. Rest now. Drift now. Let the whole slow universe carry you the rest of the way down, the way it always has, the way it always will. Sleep well and travel softly through the quiet dark. Good night.